Hello, everyone, and welcome to another weekly coaching conversation with GoMobi.work. Every week, we are bringing you a topic in employee performance development, management, and leadership that you can use to help your team do its best work and do the things that you're meant to do together. So today, we are joined by a very special guest, Mr. Jack Jendo, who is a man of many, many talents, and we are very excited to have him here with us today. So, Jack, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Ray. Thank you so much for inviting me to this interesting topic.
Yes, we're really looking forward to picking your brain, Jack, because you've been in a lot of different companies, a lot of different, like both as an expert, somebody that's doing consulting, and then running your own business, which we've had some interesting conversations about. And maybe like just before we hit record, one of the things that we were just talking about is how you have a pretty interesting mindset around what you would like your employees to be able to do. So we'd love to hear how you are thinking about their life with your business and what that looks like.
Yeah, actually, I would love to start with something interesting about my journey. I was working in the corporate field, like not the very advanced corporate field in the beginning. I was a university student. I wanted to make extra money to pay my own expenses. And I hated, I don't find any other word how the management was dealing with the employees, like especially permanent employees that are there. They had families. It was horrible for me. I was the cool student working on technology, graphic design, and the place. The new tech guy. It was fine. I can leave. I'm still a university student. But for the others, it was serious. Like they had families to feed, and it was like really the way they were dealing with the employees. It was horrible. So, although I got like many other positions, like great positions after that, I had this, in my mind, like always, like telling me that you need to do something about it. You can't stay corporate, in this kind of corporate field. I don't want to, it's not 100% like all the corporate field is not good. Many people are really working hard to change that. So it was like always in my mind, like you need to leave this position. So I left in the best, in the peak. I had a great job. It was remotely in 2018, where like remote work was not there yet. Um, I had the highest salary. I was able to travel anytime, and I left it. It was like the peak because that thing in my mind was like saying me, I don't want to go there. I don't want to stay there. I keep like, I was remembering all the people who were suffering. And then, yeah, I decided to start my own thing. And the weird thing is that I've been like for 8 years, I launched my business and I was almost like not doing the same because I didn't have an empire, but it was like even 3, 4 employees. But I felt like, it's like you're doing the same, you're dealing with people, hierarchy, 9 to 5. And then in 2018, it took me like 8 years. Yeah, I started in 2010. And 8 years later, I decided to like change everything. I was in Beirut, and then I left to Geneva for 2 months. And then, there was a revolution in Lebanon. So I called all my team and told them, you go home. We were like 8 people by that time. And you can go home, work from home. And they said, no, we can't. I told them that yes, we will make it like happen together because people were losing jobs during revolution. Right. So we decided to go online, and then the magic started happening. I got a mental health coach to the team to deal with the team, and it was like the crisis in Lebanon was going very high, and some people decided to leave after 1 year, and they are still until now working with us. Most of them are working like just doing a favor, like completing a project, taking tasks because they want to stay like part of the team, And it was magical. This is what I wanted to do, I wanted to create a family, not a like employment structure. And it was happening. Then when I came back from Geneva, I worked hard on it. I got, as I said, mental health coach. We started doing more like meeting just to talk to each other. And now it might seem normal, but that was before COVID. After COVID, this is all normal. Like you work remotely, you have a psychologist. Yeah, everyone was doing that. But I did it before because I felt it. Like I wanted this. And I've been saying that for the team. Like you can go and work at the swimming pool, You just have your responsibility. You're driven by purpose and by your passion, and whatever you're driven with, just focus on it. Don't focus on just the
Yeah.
time and salary and all this stuff. This is a result. And then it started happening. Now it is harder to find people because you're starting from scratch, going back, and many people just leave the company a few months later because of this mindset. They say like, okay, I'm in the wrong field. I have to start my own thing, And sometimes I'm partnering with my employees. Look, I'm fine. It's hard, but it's nice. Like I'm relaxed. I'm fine. It's nice. I actually encourage everyone to do that.
And can I ask, so, Wade and I are really talking, one of the things we're really working on with companies is how do you change this sort of corporate culture, and how do you change, and like thinking about what are some of the things that were most bothersome to you? What were some of those things that you felt were the most problematic and that you really wanted to address?
You mean with the companies or in my company?
With the company, yeah, in your early experience.
Okay.
And then you said like when you were
okay. First, the word that I can say was like unhuman, because let me give you an example. So whenever you're, just let's say you're paying the salaries. Right. Sometimes, even if you pay on time, you make it sound like, I'm paying you the salary, although it's your right. You've been working for the whole month. And then at the end of the month, you feel like you're asking for your salary. And then your salary is always like, bound to some, like you were late.
Yeah.
You have a punch machine, It was like a very traditional job. And there was some like more unethical stuff. Like I remember one of my friends, she had like 2 babies and she was pregnant. She went to hospital, and it was like just next to me, the owner of I was working in a big library with a department for graphic designers. I was working as a graphic designer. And then he told her like the second day, she was in the hospital delivering the baby. And then he told her like, the machine is not working and the photography field, and let me know how much time do you think you will take the whole, the whole leave. It was like, by that time, by the law in Lebanon, it was 70 days, I guess, or 40 days, whatever. It was very like short period for maternity. And it was horrible. Like I was listening, are you serious? And there was something funny that everyone remember in that library. I'm Assyrian, so I speak Assyrian language that no one understand. And just to make that manager like, angry, I used to pick my phone and just call my brother and talk in Assyrian. And he was just standing there because he had this mindset and I knew it. So I was just, talking for hours with my brother and he couldn't understand anything. So I was known with that. Like they were always all happy, like I can do that. And I'm fine, he can fire me. I want you to fire me, please. So it was like that, and now it looked funny because I made it funny, but it was really sad. Like it was a sad place.
Yeah.
And then in other places it was less, but it was in my mind like someday this manager will like become like that somehow, because it's all there, but people are different, yes, how they show it. But I didn't see anyone trying to create a healthy environment. It was all like business driven, like get more sales, do more business. What are you doing now? Why are we not doing that? So those questions,
It's interesting that you're talking about sort of people being controlled, and I think the thing is, exactly, when you control people, they're still going to take control. Like you're going to call your brother, and you're exerting your control. It's like not great, but you're taking it back in a way. So it's this interesting idea. Like how do you give people the control so that they actually use their control productively, right? Which sounds like that's something that you're moving into.
Yeah, and I guess it sounds risky because sometimes you can lose talents because of that. But it's like one word that Robert Kiyosaki said in his book. It's like whenever it was about investing, but I think it's the same. it's whenever you need to win big, you need to be ready to lose big, like to really, so it's fine. And people, I don't think I'm losing people, I'm losing talents, because like almost everyone, 99% of all the talents that I think I lose, they come back with a big opportunity because they're doing their own thing. They remember how did they find that thing. And I've been in the same room with many people crying,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're touching that place that not your parents, not teachers, not the community, not the media is touching, which is your purpose. What do you
Yeah.
love? What do you want to do? It's not just about business. I mean, business is a result. And this is what I say to the managers that I think they are greedy and always focusing on, but they still get the leadership courses that I do and workshops. I always mention that at the end, the business would be bigger, because you're building a great culture. And many people did it before, but we didn't have those terminologies. But they were doing that, the big enterprises that were great, like at dealing with people, dealing with their products, with their services. They knew that somehow.
Yeah. What's it? If I can just ask one more question, it's interesting because I think one of the things that companies are really focused on is people's productivity, right? Are they getting them their money's worth from employees? And so I think that's one of the driving reasons behind looking at like, what are people doing? What are they producing? How much time are they spending? All that, which gets to that culture that you're talking about. But I wonder, like, from your perspective, how do you think about that concept of productivity? How do you define it? How do you keep track of it? How do you all of those pieces?
Yeah. Okay, I have many examples to say within my team, but one thing that I know, in the business field, you can't talk a lot about emotions, and that trust me or whatever, I can't say that. I need to show that. And this is what my other gift, which is digital technology, can fit, which is the first thing I do is to start with learning the basics of the CRM. I mean, if it's a small company sometimes, or like medium enterprise, sometimes they don't have even a proper dashboard to calculate the process and the productivity. So I start from there just to take me seriously, because they care about the profit and sales and all the stuff. So I start by checking the KPIs, what are the results, and then to go to the productivity level. And they are amazed always, because the productivity level is not bound to the time you spend. Now, one thing, I don't do that before giving like 2 hours of leadership training for the manager or the team leader or whoever is calculating that productivity. Because many managers, what they do, if I reduce the time of working hours and increase productivity, they would want to benefit from the extra time. So if I say like, okay, 8 hours is getting you 50% productivity, then 5 hours would give you 70%, which is more. But then you can't say that, okay, the different hours, like the difference, I want to get it. Don't be greedy. Why? Because this is the difference. Because that free time, I'm able to increase productivity. Because, 8 hours, nobody can be productive in 8 hours. I'm just, trying to put things in the right track and doing the important things. It's like, thinking like an entrepreneur inside an organization. It's like your own business, and then you go to the financials. We always say that you need to give bonuses, motivation, but it shouldn't be bonuses, it should be equity. Like, this is part of your company, I mean, even sometimes 1% equity on a project can make a lot of difference. It's just that you're caring about your team. And I think the balance between the logic and the emotional intelligence is what you need to fit in the whole organization, to balance between the numbers and the emotions. What it's happening now in the most of the companies, we focus only on logic, on numbers. That's it. We forget about people. And I know it's like typical, but when you go into the details and take it from this perspective, it's totally different, and we're all doing wrong, including me. I'm still working on it. I'm not there yet. I know the concept, but to do that, you need all the people to be included with you, and it's a hard work, I know, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. It can change the whole country, the whole world, everything.
Couldn't agree more, Jack. You're taking the words out of our mouth. I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. So like one of the things I think about this is that a lot of companies want to create a very purposeful workplace, and I think like one of the things, Zoltan, you picked up on that I really admire about Jack is that your focus on putting people in the driver's seat. Like you want to empower them to do great work, and there's elements of that which are involved, like you just mentioned, giving them equity in things. So like making them an owner as piece of it. But another thing that I feel like you do really well, Jack, is you actually say to them, like, you have the say. This is your thing. Like, I'm going to get out of the way. Like, you got to go do it. You give them autonomy, which I think is super powerful. And I'm wondering if you like if somebody is watching this video and thinking, I want to create this purposeful workforce, like I want that. How do you think about building that for your own team?
Let me give you an example. Like this touched me like a lot with when I'm doing that with a team. You know, I hear a lot of like great stuff, and I don't like feel like driven by those stuff because to continue with this journey, you don't need to get affected, not with a negative feedback, not with a positive feedback as well. But one of the team members from Dubai, um, I was really busy. I was in Saudi Arabia, and she didn't know me, but she saw my post on LinkedIn, and she reached out. She wanted to join the team, and and then I told her like we can talk about the environment, and she was really excited. And then she started for 1 month, but she got another like offer in a very big company in Dubai. But she told me like the ownership that you gave me in that month and the way that you're dealing with the team, I never found it. Like I've been working in Dubai for like many years, and I didn't see that. Like we can't even like do anything during our work, during our like working hours
Yeah.
without telling someone or whatever. But what you were doing, but you told me, you're smart because wherever I go to the gym, I try to talk to people about brain digits. I go to like whatever to tennis, I talk to people about brain digits. It's like 24 hours. It's not nine to five anymore. And it was like you were not asking me about anything. Or how are you doing that? And she told me like many people cannot do that. You need to bring that structure. I told her, yeah, people who can fit, they can fit. If they can't fit, I work hard to help them fit because it's life changing. And then you start seeing people working until 4 a.m. in the morning, and you're asking them, please stop, go to sleep. And this is the difference. This is the difference that you see with your team. But again, you feel like sometimes you have this syndrome, like you're using people. And I keep saying, no, not, like don't do that. No, you should stop working. But again, the missing part is, you want to make the business grow because you want to leave people behind because your business starts shrinking, maybe because you're not focusing on KPIs or whatever. So this is it's really challenging. This is why I said it's hard. I mean, many people like team members like make you feel like it's I don't know, like I know 3 team members minimum outside the country, outside the whole region, working at a different timing, and they are still working on some projects. They don't accept to get paid. You know, I
It's
don't know.
crazy.
I wish, like, my dream is to see businesses without salaries. It's
Yeah.
like they are getting benefit, like a lot of benefit, equities. I don't know, partnership. I
Yep.
didn't try it, like the whole partnership, but there should be a new system to protect this partnership with all the team, even if you're 200, 300 employees. We should do that because obviously the current system is collapsing. It's very
Yeah.
obvious.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It seems like very stressed sometimes. And I think I was just speaking with my brother actually, who's a professional. He's works in engineering, and he
Uh,
works on these big projects, and he's like, this is a huge product, like this is going to make $100 million a year, and I get paid like not even a percent, like a tiny fraction of this, and he's
yeah,
building the whole thing. Like he's a team of one person, and he's like, something is wrong here.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you sort of alluded to it a couple of times, and we've worked with a lot of companies. Again, the kind of work that you're doing, you're pushing the boundaries in how we think about like the employee relationship and all that. And we've worked with other folks who are in the same space or doing the same kind, different ways. And then what we often hear is like pressures come in, right? So something happens, something doesn't go well, or maybe receivables are down or something, and then it triggers like almost like a desire to go back, or an impulse to go back to like traditional ways of relating. And I heard that you said something about that you're still learning too, and I'm interested in what do you do in your mind to keep when those moments come, when you feel that pressure that sort of flips that switch back to sort of the typical way we were raised, right? We've all been raised like this is how it works. What do you do? What do you do?
I guess what is helping me is that I work in many fields. So I am an entrepreneur. I am a CEO in my business. In the new businesses that I launch, I'm the new entrepreneur who's starting from scratch, bringing interns. In another business, I have 10, 12 people working. It's like I made that because I wanted this balance. And I'm working with many companies as consultant and trainer, like in the GCC region, to keep the business good. So if the business that is somehow the human resources part is a playground to accomplish that, I don't really care if it's losing. It's not losing, it's bringing income. But I'm sure that if I do the traditional way, it will bring like 2-3 times now as income. But in the future, I believe that it would be much more. And in other places, no. Like sometimes when I'm training some teams, like big teams, to do that, the whole thing is changing. But you need the managers to be at the same level. Definitely, this is the hardest thing, by the way, especially in the region. When I'm working remotely in Europe, maybe in the States, in Australia, it's different. In this region, is harder because most of the businesses are family businesses. So the owner is the employee, and the team is the family. So it's a bit hard, but many people are aligned with the same view, and they're working slowly on that. But yeah, I think combining things, like I don't want to say that the old system is all like, like not working. It's working. I mean, it's there. Businesses are running, products are being produced, and services are being delivered. But the way it's happening, I think it should be like really changing. And so I kind of try mixing. I come from the corporate field. My internship was horrible. My first job was horrible. The second job was horrible. The third job was fine, and what was like the peak that I left. But I learned it. It's not like I started as an entrepreneur from scratch. I know that. And because I'm working as a consultant for many companies, like traditional, new, public, the government, I can see all, kinds of jobs and people who are working in many countries. It's like there's something is in common. Like it's that mentality, of I want to control. It's funny because even with technology after COVID, we built the systems, the online system, to make everything smooth. And then the companies were asking for, the devices that you, not the devices, but the software that you put the keylogger or whatever to put on the computer to get to know the activity of the employee. So you're more monitoring, like it's more monitoring than being in office. So yeah, and it's not good. I mean,
it's not
your
good.
team is not loyal. You're asking for loyalty, but this is not you get loyalty.
It's not demonstrating trust. I think we talked about that before too. It's like we think it's on the employer to demonstrate that first, to take the leadership role and actually lead and say, no, it's fine. I think you're going to get it done.
Yeah. What is like a good employee, like an entrepreneur? What does that entrepreneur or that leader in your team, I mean leader by an employee, but he or she acts like they have their own common sense. What they always tell their managers: tell me where do you want to go, and I'll make it happen, right?
Yeah.
I'll do it. Don't tell me what to do. And this is what we want. This is what we want. Exactly. But again, in order to keep that person, you need to be loyal as well to the employee. It's not like you're
Yeah,
asking for
totally.
loyalty. And you need to be financially balanced with the employees and being fair, giving equities, as I said, and with the control, less control, because you cannot control a leader.
Yeah.
He's a
Totally.
leader or she's a leader already. So
Yeah.
this is what's happening actually. And then they suddenly they say, the most like sentence that I feel like surprised when I hear from managers, we lost that employee. He was very good, or she was very good, and I don't know. She found a great job somewhere else. Why your job isn't great? Like when you were
Yeah,
happy, he was happy.
exactly.
Why? What happened? It's because of the salary or because of working hours, or you just fix it. I was telling you about that, and they're surprised. Like, why did they leave? Oh my God, are you serious? So yeah, and then start losing. I saw companies shutting down because of that behavior, and they didn't change. I think it's like change in the manager, owner. It's a mindset that should be changed in the beginning. Otherwise, you're working for nothing. All the building, training systems that we install. Sometimes I decide not to work with some companies because all the work that you do can be for nothing if you don't change your mindset.
Well, we get stuck in the way like I said, the way we were raised, our first jobs, everything. I mean, that seems like that's how it works. And so our minds just get stuck in that way.
Yeah, I think it's like parenting. It's like you go and start learning, reading books, but whenever you're stuck in a situation that you don't know what to do, you remember your dad and mom, what they did, you do the same, and then you realize that, oh my God, what did I do? Why I was shouting?
Yeah.
Because my dad was shouting because he didn't know what to do as well. He was, bringing something from
Yeah,
his
from the
private
past.
history.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And this is what we're doing in the companies.
Yeah.
So we need to learn more and do more experience. It's not, it's not easy, but it's not impossible. It took me 2 years to change my mind, the whole thing. Like I was saying that, yeah, my thinking is not what I want. It's not how I want it. I started reading books, talking to people, trying things, questioning everything in my behavior, and it changed. But I had stress. I had to go to psychologist. It was
Mhm.
hard. It was affecting my
Yeah.
body. It wasn't easy. But many people decide to continue and not to do anything about it. And I feel sorry for that because it really can be more like the more you grow, I mean, with age, with the positions, with your money, with the wealth, it's gonna be worse. It's not gonna be better. You need to stop at some point
Yeah.
and change that.
Change is hard, but staying in the same place is worse, you know?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
One of the ways that we think about creating that lasting change, and that's really like when we think about, we've been doing a lot of work around what does our brand mean and how does the brand sound, and doing a lot of this brand development work. And so one of the things that we really take pride in and think is like that we think is that we do especially well is that we create these lasting transformations and we teach people a different way of thinking and then give them a system that helps them to create a change that lasts. Because the thing that drives us crazy, and you've probably had this, been on maybe both sides of this even, Jack, but doing a workshop, like let's say you have 2 days workshop with a customer, and then they're all at the end like, yes, we love this. This is great. 1 month later, nothing happening the same from the workshop. Everything reverted back. So one of the ways that we think about that is to address that challenge is through software. And so to actually create a system and then implement that system into a thing that everybody on the team agrees, we're going to use this from now on to help inform the way we think about things, to help and mostly because it's like almost like a guide. Like when you learn how to ride a bike, you have the training wheels on the bike so that you don't tip over. And we think of it a little bit like that. Like you want to provide a system that can help you from falling back into the way that you were. Is there anything that you think about when you're working with somebody, or things that you've done in your own business that are similar to that kind of system? where to help people make a lasting shift?
Yeah, actually, I like the way that you do with hello.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're here.
Something happened on my laptop. Yeah, it was just
No
Windows
worries.
switched automatically. I don't know what happened. Yeah, so having the system you're talking about, in like actual system, like a dashboard to
Yeah, like a dashboard, like software
yeah,
that people interact with. And for us, it's employee development. So we're like talking about,
exactly.
yeah.
This is the combination that I love to general word is governance, but using technology without governance and governance without technology means nothing. And then with the training people, I mean, the three combination of training people, having the dashboard to show you the facts, what is happening, because you need, in business, I can't say that you're winning. I need to show you that you're winning. And same as in your planning, structuring the company, I'm not against structure. I'm not against building a system, but I'm against to be bound to that system, although you have a lot of problem, but you stick to the system. System was made at some point at this specific age, and you need to keep updating the system. It's same like your Windows system or whatever, Mac system, whatever. You need to keep updating that system. The thing is that we rely on the system, and we keep relying on the system, even if it's like having 1% profit or 1% productivity or whatever, we stick to it because it's a system. And same, we go to the education system, economy, everything,
Yeah, it's not, even when they don't
This
work.
is why actually I took the challenge to run for the parliament elections, because I wanted to change the government system. And I had like all my team say like, oh my God, you're going to change the government? No, yeah, just stick to the companies and the organizations. And same thing in the United Nations, because I keep seeing, things that we want to change, we want human rights and we want things, but the system is the same. You can't, people are changing. And I learned that in the graphic design thing and the technology, the codes. You need to keep updating, and we as people, we need to keep updating our minds, our bodies. So it's that. So talking about the dashboard and the training that you do without having the impact, it's actually the way that we do training should be changed, because you don't want to give information anymore. Information is everywhere. You need to give, like, to provide experience, something that lasts in your mind. And it's funny because like last time in the kingdom in Riyadh, I was delivering a training and people in the classroom were dancing, and it was like it was a something related to big data. It was like, why are you dancing? It's big data, it's numbers, it's formulas. What are you doing? And I told them like, let's wait until the end. And the end was the last day. People were bringing cakes and juice and stuff. And there it's weird. Like, it's like, you're in a very corporate environment in the academy of a specific company, a very big telecom company there. And I told them like, let's wait for the results. Okay, I'm fine with doing the test, although I'm against the test, but let's do it. I want to show you that even the test would be the highest. And the test was 100% for 25 people in the class, while the other classes were 90% and 95%, which is a very high number. 95 is usually the maximum. But even people who didn't want to take the workshop, they are now excited because they were dancing, because there were a lot of challenges, there were a lot of critical thinking in the class, there were a lot of stuff that are not related to the topic itself, but it was related to their minds. And I need their mind in the workshop to keep the information flowing. And so it was like, and I was, most of the time I wasn't standing in the on the board and talking, and it was like there's always someone else like trying to explain things. It was like the participants were doing the course actually. And it was great. Because even in the training, I've been doing that training before, like 5 years ago. I felt bored. Like, I'm the trainer, I was bored in the class doing the same thing every time. So now it's different. So this is the training, and then you go to the dashboard. It's always good to keep updating the dashboard. And here I don't I don't recommend for companies, by the way, to take the large systems that you find in the cloud, and always find the right partner with getting the right dashboard, because you can get, I don't know, the big names, and it won't be good for you. It's not like because they have good advertising that means it's good
The
for you. You need
product is good.
right, yeah, the right
Yeah.
partner. And I always suggest to go with a startup with a great team, because they will make the impossible to make your company win, because they want they want you to win. But the big companies, they just want you to pay the monthly cloud
They don't
subscription,
care.
right? It's just as, like, yeah, that's it. They don't even want your feedback.
Yeah.
So yeah, and that's it. So it's a combination of the three, like people, technology, and the system that you're creating. Like, I mean, the governance or the structure, the way, the process, the work that you're trying to do, the process actually that you need to create. That is the whole combination, and you can win.
And we found with the dashboard, even within one company, you might need different variations depending on the part, like depending on
Exactly.
how people in a particular area of the company work. One dashboard might not work for them.
Exactly.
So it's that whole idea of flexibility. And then I think one of the things that we're really looking at is how do you make sure you're collecting the data and attending to data, so you know when to make those changes, right? Either this is working, or we don't need this anymore, and let's update it and move it forward. All those pieces, but we just get stuck. Here's the thing we've got. We're going to do it for the next 20 years.
True. I mean, 60%. Let me not say more than that. 60% of the time, like lost time in the companies, are for the tasks, like people collecting data, doing tasks that they are not useful for anything anymore. It's not tracked. I mean, it's tracked in the system and the reports, but nobody is taking action. Like, why are we doing that?
Yeah.
And then when I do the workshop, I ask questions and I hear answers that are like, those canned messages. It's like template messages, template replies.
Yeah.
That they just everywhere in the hierarchy or the system or whatever. Even they have, sometimes you use you do the digital transformation, but you do it the wrong way. It's like you're bringing a system is not digital transformation. It's your mindset. This is why you need a partner with you, not just a software, because it's like about mindset. Digital transformation is not just about the system. And it's, for me, it's not like I see that company is losing time or money. For me, it's slavery, because you don't need to do that. I mean, you're living, you sometimes you do that for 10 years and nobody is telling you that, you don't have to do that anymore. And it's not like just reducing the time. It's not like sometimes you have a task, it takes 1 week. I do a specific training and it's taking 1 day, right? But it's more than that. When you're talking about the system, it's something that sometimes you don't need to do, but you're doing it because it's the system. Why are you doing that? Nobody knows. Someday, some managers 10 years ago put that system, he left, and then the whole company is still doing the same. Yeah, it's slavery. For me, it's a new way of doing slavery. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, we become a slave to the way things have been done, and we don't refresh them. And I do agree with you, Jack, that I think as a whole society that we are like coming to a point where we're starting to think like these ways of being are not working anymore. And the places, there's a really interesting book by a man named Josh Bersin, and he wrote this book. It's called Irresistible. And in that book, he talks about the secrets of companies that are irresistible to employees. Like if you look at these companies, these are the companies that people are proud to tell their family and friends, like, I work at Apple, or I work at, one of these places that's like almost has this legendary status. And one of the things that he talks about in that book is this idea that if you're going to be an irresistible company, you need to create this kind of environment where people are really, they're given the opportunity to take charge. And when they're receiving, like, one of the things that just came up as you were talking about everything is like feedback is such an interesting example of like a way that we think about something that, we've always done it on a year basis. annual feedback schedule is not very helpful, because if something happened 8 months ago and you're just now telling me like, oh, by the way, during that project 8 months ago, it would have been better if you did this. I've been like, great, now I've been doing the same thing for 8 months and I didn't know that you didn't like it. And it's totally ineffective. And so this is when you're saying like, I love the words being a slave to the old system, because it's just like you're literally, you're being kept down. Like I think that's part of the thing that I think of with slavery is like you're actually being suppressed in that paradigm, and we're being suppressed by the things that we don't evaluate and refresh. That's what's happening, and that's not a good place to be.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like it's harder when people know that, I mean, as employees, but they cannot, like they tell the management that this is like, I'm doing that for, you know, okay, I'm getting paid, I'm working from 9 to 5, I'm doing my job.
Yep.
But if you're aware of that, it's like kind of you have to do it, but you know that it's useless. Sometimes you do a lot of tasks, doesn't make sense, but you have to do it because it's your job description. And oh my God, why are you doing that? So sometimes I, you know, escalate the ticket for the management, and I ask for a meeting, although I'm just, you know, sometimes I'm just a trainer, I'm not even a consultant. I mean, to talk with the management, I just deliver the workshop and leave. But I can't, you know, if many people are suffering, I can't, you know, I just
it doesn't
do the
even
report
work
for a meeting. I have 1 hour. I say like 1-2 hours free consultation for the management, because some people are suffering there, you know, in that company.
Yeah. What kinds of things do you think really good managers do well? Like when you go in to train managers, what do you teach them?
To listen first. Like, I mean, without listening, and it's funny, by the way, because most of the coding languages and technology started by listening. The first event is listen. So I need, you know, if you don't push the button on your keyboard, nothing happens, right? So the keyboard is the computer is waiting for you to do an event, to a trigger to start. So listening, if you need to act, you need to listen first to know what is happening, what do you need to do next, what is the right thing to do, you need to listen first. So if you're working with your team, then you need to listen to them. If you're working with a client, you need to listen to them. And the listening, I mean, listening is a skill. Like many people can hear, but they cannot listen. So the first thing that I do, I make sure if those leaders, managers, bosses, whatever it is, they know how to listen. And I don't start with training. I just start a conversation, you know, any conversation, like talking about the environment, maybe. Because you can see, you know, people like always trying to tell you that what they know, what happened with them before, and they don't talk about their team. You know, if you ask them a question about their business, they don't talk about their teams. Although, like, without their team, there's no business. So listening first, and then, you know, going into their purpose. Why did they join this field? Why they are doing what they are doing? Yeah. Because most of the time you're angry. Most of the time you're, you know, feeling unmotivated or whatever. It's because of your, you know, mental health. And your mental health is affected by what are you doing here. You know, most of the time your anxiety is because you need to be somewhere else, and if you're in the wrong place, you feel anxious. And this is what I start with. It's their personal leadership, like if they are leading their life properly first, so they are able to lead their teams. So listening and doing that is first. And then you go with the practical stuff that everyone, I'm sure that in the team management, conflict management, these are tools. Like these are, I know it's called soft skills. I don't like to call them soft skills, but sometimes somehow it's scientific. It's not about your psychology. Yeah, psychology plays a great role, but you have some tools that you can do with the team, brainstorming sessions, conflict management if you have a conflict, all these stuff like, you know, team empowerment. These are tactics that you can do, but you can't do that if you don't listen. You can't do that if you're not mentally fine. I mean, if it's not the job that you want to do. And it's, you know, it's amazing how like I can tell 80% of managers are in the wrong place. 80% of business owners are in the wrong place. They wanted to do something else and they were forced to be in this business. So imagine how many people are suffering. I think this is why I came to the point that the whole society, the whole education system isn't the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we're, and we've talked with a lot of folks on this podcast, and I love the theme that it's really what I'm hearing you saying is it starts with understanding yourself, or at least working to understand yourself, and then working. Part of that is working to understand what's going on for others, and that whole listening piece. I just think, and just last week the concept of soft skills came up. These are the these are the solid skills, because then any company, whatever the topic is, whatever the skill you have to develop, or whatever the thing you have to do, that can be plugged in if you've got those, got those abilities and that way of being, right?
Yeah. And it's I think technology plays a great role, because every time we talk about building a software or just training the team for a dashboard, or even sometimes, promoting a dashboard, if you're not listening to the people or the team or the company that you're selling or building that system, it will be like a big failure, right? Many software, many dashboards, and I think that combination was like, I was lucky to have that. I mean, the mix between the digital technology and transformation part that I have in my mind, and the part that, it's related to the psychology of people, like the business psychology or whatever, the work field. This is what made me more like be able to maybe talk to some people, because as I said before, I cannot go to a manager and tell them that, look, we need to empower your team, you need to make them relaxing, and it's not gonna work. If I bring a software and listen to the team and know their problems and fix it in that dashboard, and answer to the management, to the owners, to the, I don't know, partners, concerns about profit, whatever, and answer that in a system, I don't think anyone would listen to me. It's like you're coming from a social perspective, and it's not gonna work. Go to the NGOs. It's your work is not in the corporate field. This is the answer that I get. We're not an NGO. I've heard that like many times. And then when you force it with the practical steps and with the technology to show it, I love technology because it can show it. And my dream is someday we have a machine, a scanner, same like you scan your heart, you can scan your mind, and to see those waves telling you the productivity that you're having. You should work now. You shouldn't be working now. You have to go swimming or whatever. And this would be the answer for those managers, because some days you need to force your team or your employee to leave the workplace. No one on earth is productive 5 days.
Like perfectly.
No one.
Nobody's perfectly. Yeah, it's so
exactly.
True.
And what's hard, it's because when you're not aware of that, you're losing more productivity, because you're
trying to make it work.
You're not taking a break. And yes, we know it, like with a typical way that we say it, you have to take a break. No, you have to know when to take a break, because sometimes you take a break and you're stressed because you have things that you really want to do to feel relaxed, and then you take a break. Or sometimes you're not into brainstorming or creating, like if you're a art director, and you cannot force your mind to be creative. And creativity should be everywhere. I mean, even if you're in accounting, if you're dealing with numbers, it's great to be creative. I mean, you will solve most of the problems. So creativity is not just in art and graphic design and technology. It's also in all, like every aspect, in management, everywhere. So, yeah.
Going back to the topic of the dashboard, like as a business leader, organizational leader, you open up that dashboard.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most important thing that you would learn by looking at that dashboard as an organizational leader for you?
Okay, for me personally, it's the team behavior. Like, what is happening with my team? Because whatever you do as a leader, there's always this like the space between you and your team, your employees. Like you're the boss, even if you're the best leader in the world, you're the boss. I can't tell you everything, as an employee. So that's something that I'm always interested, but I never show that I know if there's something personal maybe, or I know it from, I don't know, somewhere or from another colleague. So in the dashboard, you can see the behavior, like when are the best times that your team is doing well. But if I can give you the experience of most of the managers that I see, it's always the number of sales. It's always the turnover, and it's not even the productivity level, because they don't care about productivity. I mean, it's productivity if it's not like resulting or giving you good results, it doesn't make sense. Like I mean 100 productivity, but I don't have a good turnover. I don't want your productivity. These are the things that I hear, from managers. So it's turnover, sales, and sometimes it's weird. Even that turnover for many people is not important as much as how many working hours the team is spending. So these shouldn't be KPIs even. I mean, for the human resources, maybe to do some calculation to give it to the management to know that the system is going well. But for me, you have to be like brave enough to break those, chains. It's just if you make sure that your team behavior, I mean, not even productivity, if they are happy with what they are doing, then it's not you, the manager. They are the managers. They are the leaders.
Yeah, they do it themselves.
You can step out and become an investor and just, do something else, because they will be better than you in that. And I've seen it. Like many people were better than me, and I was so happy. Like leaving a business with after building a success with your own concept of success is the best thing in the world. It's not like, okay, when my business is worth $1 million, I will leave. Why? Where is this coming from? Why would it be like this is a challenge for you to become a $1 million business? And then another thing from the richest man in Babylon, it was like when you focus on money, like making money, making turnover, you actually start losing later on, because you didn't learn anything from managing wealth. I mean, even managing wealth. I mean, it's a book totally about investing, but it's more about self-development, because if you understand that, then you can keep your money, you can keep your wealth. But if you don't understand it, even if you have billions of dollars, you can lose it in very short time. So it's the same.
I love it, Jack. Yeah, I love it, man. This has been such an amazing conversation. I'm very sad to see the clock is almost to our time here, but I wanted to ask you one thing before we go, and that's in your mind, what is the most important thing that people can do to help others grow?
I used to say that it's empowerment. Until recently, it's inspiration. If you can inspire others, and you don't need to be an influencer or an author or whatever. If you listen to people, and this is it, I will call it a trick, because I'm sure that if I call it a tip for people to help others, they wouldn't listen. It's a trick to hack communication and relationships. Okay, let me put it in a smart. Okay, learn how to focus 100% with whatever conversation you have or whatever you're doing. You can start by focusing with talking to a stranger, or your, spouse, or your brother, or your sister, or your friend. If you practice that and you learn how to listen 100% and start focusing, you are able to influence everyone, like literally everyone, and inspire everyone. I think after like a lot of thinking, many people telling me that you inspired us to do something, and believe me, like inspiration, I mean by that, people calling me from another country, traveling like hours away to do something because something I said, or because something they read on my in my book, or on my LinkedIn. So it's like I was amazed also, because I didn't mean to inspire, and this is the question. Why I was able to do that? Because I was able to listen like 100% focus with someone who didn't expect from me to listen 100% because I didn't have to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's not someone like close to me. And some people, they don't know me. And it was that because I listened even on social media. If you're creating content, you need to listen to the audience that you want to help. And then when you listen carefully, you're good with you will be good with, you know, inspiring them to do great whatever they're doing, and sometimes to change what they are doing. You know, I saw doctors doing public speaking. I've seen managers doing dancing and doing business from that. You know, I don't promote just do your hobbies. It's not like the traditional way of do what you love and that's it.
Yeah,
No, do a business, because doing a business, it's the way to make it a big success and help more people. It's not just, you know, do what you love. It's do what you love, inspire others, and spread the word. It's your message on earth, you know?
Absolutely.
Beautiful, Jack. I love it, man.
Great way to end up.
Yes. Jack, thank you so much for being with us. It is a joy to know you, my friend, and I hope that we get to do this a lot more in the future.
Sure, that would be a pleasure. It's really great to be here and to be like very interesting conversation. Thank you, guys.
Great.
Yes, Jack. Thank you.
And all the best with the dashboard, the community that you're trying to build. It's amazing.
Well, the thing we're finding is really nice to see that there's so many people like yourself that really have the same goals. I mean, there's a real community being built around this idea of a more humanistic way to work, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got to send you the product demo, Jack.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
I
looking
will.
forward. Yep.
All right. Thank you
Great.
so much,
All the
Jack.
best.
Safe travels
you.
ongoing, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Dalton.
Good night.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.